everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Jay from Coding with Jaybird, where I upload weekly tutorials to help build your confidence in coding. Today we're going to learn about the date and time object in JavaScript. Let's get started, shall we? Here I've got my date object project folder. As you can see, I've opened it in VS Code. So I just have a standard HTML file that's linked to a CSS style sheet with some minimal styling and a main.js in my JS folder. All right, let's get started in our main.js. The focus of today's tutorial is the date object. If we want to work with dates, first we must create an instance of the date object. Now this is done by using a date object constructor, which is simply the word capital D, A-T-E, like so, and round brackets. Now dates in JavaScript are stored as a number. Now let's start practicing this by creating a default date object. We'll start by creating a constant called today, and in it we'll store the new date constructor. So const today equals, and now we have to use a new keyword followed by date constructor. And now if we were to log this to the console, we can see what's going on inside of this today variable. As you can see, we've effectively created today's date. So here it says Monday, March 21st, 2022. Here's the time, 12:38 p.m. Those are the seconds. And it gives you the offset from GMT and so on. This date is stored as a number. Now we don't see that when we log this to the console, but it is in fact stored as a number. And more specifically, it's the number of milliseconds since midnight on January 1st, 1970. Now, this date is determined by the user's computer clock. So whatever clock I may have on my machine right now is going to dictate this time that I create. We can use several methods that allow us to both set and retrieve the time and date. So let's start by just retrieving that information first. So we've obviously created this new date. Now let's access the details, so like the time, the hours, and so on from this new date object that we've created. So the first thing I want to teach you is the getTime method. So this returns a number of milliseconds since midnight, January 1st, 1970. So let's have a new variable, ms, since 1970, equals, now I'm going to reference today, which is this today, which we've used to store our new date in. And I'm going to say today.getTime, so apply the getTime method on the today variable, and then let's have a look at this in the console to see what do we get back. So this getTime method returns the number of milliseconds since midnight, January 1st, 1970. Now, instead of having this messy, long Monday, March 21st, and so on, we can have a cleaner, more organized date string returned to us as well, and that's with the method called toDateString. Let's some variable called organizedDate equal, again, we'll reference today, that's the date that we've created. And let's have a look at this in the console. And you can see we get a much cleaner date, Monday, March 21st, 2022. So this is great when you're coding and you're trying to develop an application, let's say, and you want to only display certain parts of the date or format your date to look in a certain way in the browser. Now there are other methods that we can use. The next one I want to cover is the getFullYear method. All right, so there are going to be a few methods that I cover now, and it might get a little messy in the console. So I'm going to give little headings to each method so that we know what we're looking at in the console. So I'll start with the getFullYear, and what that returns to us is the year in 4 digits. let's create a new variable, and we'll call this new variable current year. So let current year equal today dot get full year. And if we have a look at this in the console, this should give us 2022. And it does, 2022, because that's the year that we're in at the moment. Okay, the next function or method that I want to cover is the get date method. So again, I'm just going to make a little heading for us to visually see what we're looking at in the console. And this get date method is going to give us the day of the month between 1 and 31. Okay, let's create a new variable, and we'll call this new variable current date. And we'll store today dot get date method and whatever's returned from that method into this variable. And when we output this to the console, we get 21 because today is the 21st day of the month. So here you can see Monday, March 21st, and it's the 21st day. Now, by the time you're watching this video, it might be a few days later. I'm going to probably be posting this on Thursday, so this may not be exactly on the 21st when you see this video, but you get the idea. The next thing I want to talk about is the get month method. So what is the get month going to give us? Now, you'd likely think this is going to give us a number from 1 to 12, right? First month all the way to the 12th month. However, the month is stored a bit differently. So the get month method actually returns the month between 0 and 11. So let's create a new variable called current month, and we'll store today dot get month inside of this. And when we output this to the console, so when I save this, you can see the number 2 in the browser. Now, what does the number 2 reference? It doesn't mean that we're in February. What it means is that 0 references January, 1 refers to February, and 2 refers to March. All right, so let's look at our next method that I want to talk about, and this is called get hours. Okay, so again, we're going to create a variable. We'll call it current hour equals, and we'll reference today dot get hours, and this is going to return a number between 0 and 23. So when I output this to the console, let's see what we get. We get 12, and that's because it's working in a 24-hour clock. So 0 would be midnight, so like 12 a.m., and then all the way to 12 p.m., which is where we are now, and then 13 all the way to 23 again, which would be 11 p.m. Okay, great. So we can see our current hour. Now, if we want to access minutes, that's also possible with the get minutes method. And again, this gives us the minutes between 0 and 59. So if I let some variable called current minute equal today dot get minutes method, this is going to return how many minutes we are into the hour at this current point in time. And you can see we're in 51 minutes at this point. Now, when I started this lesson, it was a bit earlier. It was 12 something, but because I'm refreshing the console, it's constantly updating the time here for us to see. Now let's have a look at another method called get seconds. This is very similar to get minutes. And this is going to give us the seconds from 0 to 59. If I create a variable called current second equals today dot get seconds, this will return us how many seconds have passed at this point in time. Now, if you look to the browser, you can see our minutes has updated. It used to be 51, now it's 52 because maybe a few seconds have passed and we're into the next minute. And at this point in time, the second says 38. If I reload the browser, this number will change. And now it's 55. I reload again, 58. And soon this will become a low number and this will become 53. And there you go. This became 53 and this is now 3 seconds into the 53rd minute. You get the idea. All right, so let's have a look at another method called the getDay method. Now this one's a little different. It returns the day of the week to us. So let's in variable called day of week equals today dot getDay method. And let's see what this returns. Now, of course, I could also put all of this in one sentence. I'm purposely breaking things up so you can see things more clearly, but I could do console log and then just put this inside of that console log. So when I save this, I get 1. And that's because the day that I'm actually recording this is Monday, and you can see that here at the top where it says Monday. And Monday is referenced with the number 1. So far we've been dealing with the date constructor, and it's been using our computer's clock to generate this time. We can actually manually set a new date as well using this date constructor. So we can manually do this. Okay, so let's have a look at how we would manually do this. So now I'm going to create a new variable called new date, and I'll set it in a constant since I don't expect this to change. New date equals new, again I'm using the new keyword, and the date constructor. Now what's interesting inside this date constructor is I can actually pass in a string value with the details of the date. So let's say I want to say October 25th, 2006, I don't know, maybe 0419, let's say, and maybe 3 seconds. And then when I have a look at this in the console, we'll see that we're no longer going to get today's date. We're actually getting back the date that we asked it to set. So we gave it the values of October 25th, and that's exactly what you see here. There are many other functions that are used to set the date, such as set date, set full year, set hours, set time. So very similar to the ones we've seen where we use the keyword get in the beginning of the method. When we're setting those things, we use the word set in the beginning of the method. And we'll have a look at some of these in a later tutorial where I go into the date object in more depth. Thanks for watching this tutorial about date objects. I hope you learned a lot from my video series so far. Please don't forget to keep hitting that like button, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you'll be notified of my latest JavaScript lessons. Until next week, keep on coding!